How's it going, guys? Welcome back in. It's Ryan here at the King of Camo. I finally kicked Nate out of the spot. He's been doing like every podcast, so now I get to do it. And I have a special guest, Mr. Nick. Thank you, sir. Nick has been a customer of ours just here recently. He brought in some really cool, badass guns that we did up a cool paint job with. But he is way cooler than I am, so I'll let you introduce yourself to everybody.
No way, not cooler at all. Like he says right now. How you guys doing? My name's Nick Gonzalez. I basically moved into the area about 2 years ago, so new to the area here in Georgia. Retired out of the military, so kind of made my way through here, and I started looking for a shop to kind of work on my weapon systems. So I had two guns in mind that I wanted somebody here locally to work on. One was a HKS P5,
Yep.
and the other one was the Bryn 2.
They're both just really badass. Just guns in general, by the way. I mean, I don't think we've had like a couple MP5s get dropped off, but when you dropped off that and the Bryn, I think we all kind of fangirled a little bit, and Nate definitely, I think, put one in the cart and on the website to get a Bryn. So
Nice. Yeah, definitely great weapon systems. So I brought him here with some ideas, and first of all, I would say, as a company owner and as a CEO of a company, customer service is always number one, and most upfront for any business, right? And I called the Camel King and I talked to Nate here, or to Ryan and Nate. Ryan first, and Ryan's customer service was just outstanding and stellar, and stuff that people look for, right? When you're wanting to go work with somebody, right? And it was so friendly, so easy going, a friendly, easy conversation. You told me to bring it in, and we'll brainstorm together.
Yeah.
And the brainstorming became reality, right? Just hearing you and Nate's ideas flowing back off each other's, and kind of going in with what I kind of envisioned. You guys blew it out of the water, obviously. I came here like a month later to pick up the weapon systems, and man, I cannot be more ecstatic of how they came out.
That's awesome.
Check one of the guns out on you guys' site. The other one, I think you guys are posting soon. But I made it pretty fun with the SP5.
I think the guy. I'm pretty sure Nate put it on Instagram, and I love the video that he did with it. But if you've been watching Instagram, it's the SP5 is one of the newer ones, and on the top, you requested us to engrave something, which I thought was hilarious. What did you want us to put on the top? Because it's an HK, you got to slap the. People want to slap the bolt to let it go forward.
Yeah.
What did you have us put on there?
I put Slap Me Poppy.
Slap Me Poppy. That's amazing.
I stole that idea off somebody. Somebody had Slap Me Daddy, and me being Spanish descent, Puerto Rican and Cuban, I was like, let me put the Spanish version on there just to make it, comical in a sense.
I thought it was great.
It came out amazing, obviously, and yeah, it's my showpiece now in my house, and everyone talks about it, and the Bryn too. So yeah, everything just came out amazing, and I love what you guys did, and
thanks, man.
If you need some gun work, you come to these guys. So,
thank you.
Yeah.
Now, I was going to ask you, because I don't remember whenever you first came by. I don't remember if you told me. How did you hear about us at first, or did you just look us up one day, or was it word of mouth? How did you find us?
Yeah, funny you asked. So I've learned this. I was going back to business owning and being a CEO of a company. I learned that reviews are very important, right? Because what's the first thing people do when they're looking for something? Google. Let me see. And you guys had a 4.9 with I think over 100 something people, and I was like, yeah, these people seem very reliable. So I went to your website. Then I saw you guys' as a YouTube channel. And I was like, these guys are who I'm working with. And I made that one phone call, and the way you and I interacted, it was perfect customer service, and here I am. So
well, and that's kind of the things, because we're really leaning in heavy to YouTube, because that's a big marketing platform. But it's YouTube, being YouTube is not super gun friendly. But we've been able to kind of get into that space where we can still show off customer experiences, right? So that's been our big thing recently, is doing like the shorts of the douchebag gun store owner or the douchebag employee or customer kind of videos. And that stemmed from a couple of the guys up north, I think in like Wisconsin, called D-Boss Firearms. They kind of had the same shorts going on, but it all is kind of an overall idea of like, I've been there before, and I think you probably have too. Like when you're talking about customer service, right? I've gone into gun stores where, it's almost like they're trying to gauge how much knowledge you have. They want to see how smart you are when you know guns, or see how many guns you own, or like what kind of guns you own. Or, oh, you're a Glock guy. Oh, screw you. You can go to hell, And it's just a giant turnoff for people whenever they go in and they're trying to learn about a gun, or they're trying to buy their first gun, or they're just trying to get more training or get more knowledge. It's almost like a lot of people stereotype gun stores as like belittling to customers. And I was like, that's just really crappy, because I've experienced that, and I don't want that to be the vibe that you get when you come in here. I don't want that to be like whenever you call me on the phone, you're like, man, that guy was a douche, what a dick, why would I go there? And to me, it's common sense, but to everybody else, common sense is not very common in today's day and age. But like, why would you want to like push somebody away? Especially with all the stuff that we have going on in the world right now, and especially us being Americans and the Second Amendment being very, prominent in just our culture because it's our way of life. Like, why would you want to like shun people away? So I was like, whenever me and Nate first started the idea, we were like, let's make it different. Let's do something different. We don't have to. Doesn't have to be like a dick measuring contest. Whenever someone comes in here, you're like trying to gauge how much they know. Let's actually invite people, like whether it's someone that shoots a lot, that's in security, like owns his own company, or it's someone that's like, just turned 21. He's like, hey man, I just want to get me a pistol for self-protection. Very first gun. Like, treat everybody the same, treat everybody with kindness, and help them out, right?
Absolutely, just be human. I mean, some people forget that's an important part of life, just being a kind person, being generous comes a long way. And I also believe in good karma, right? You treat people the way you want to be treated, and at the end of the day, things are always going to be positive.
Right.
If not, they're going to be negative. So which one you want?
Exactly. And, and you see it so much, and it's been crazy, because if you go on some of the shorts that we posted, like just like the douchebag gun store employees or something like that, you would be amazed at how many other gun stores are being called out in the comments. And we're sitting there going like, we've heard Palmetto State get called out. We've heard a lot of gun stores in Arizona and Texas and Michigan, and like a bunch of people getting called out on there. And that's for us, it's almost a good thing in a way, because if those gun stores see the video, then they're like, oh well, we might have a problem. We would hope that, because we want to change the stereotype around gun stores.
Right.
Of like,
right.
Gun stores are supposed to be a place where you can come in and get the knowledge and learn how to shoot and get into this whole kind of a community, right? Instead of, it's just only, controlled by douchebags and like guys that think you're stupid, or if you don't own this kind of gun, you're not a real gun owner or whatever. The condescending attitude. We want to get away from that, because I feel like that's the overarching stereotype you kind of hear about a lot. So, but I don't know if that's been any of your experiences. That's been some of the experiences we've had with our customers, and that kind of helped bred a lot of the videos that we've been doing. Mm-hmm. So, but I know with you, yours is different in terms of your story, because you were in the military, and now you're going into, you've had a few different jobs, but now you're with the Legion Group.
Correct.
And that's one that you created. That's your company, right?
My company, correct.
So give a little bit of an intro into that. How did that start?
Sure, definitely. So I think I said before, I got out of the military about 2 years ago. During my transition outside the military, I already had a job kind of lined up, thanks to the Tossi family and a guy named Paul Tossi that hired me to work as a director for one of his companies called Resupply. From there, I guess he saw a lot of value in what I brought to the table, so he made me CEO of one of his companies. And I started learning business, right? I never had any knowledge in business, didn't know how to run a P&L, didn't know anything about
Didn't have a business degree or anything like that?
Didn't have a business degree. No. Don't have a degree at all, actually, to be honest with you guys. And you learn hands-on, right? You learn getting the knowledge from doing it hands-on and then having good mentors behind you, right? So I had, Paul Tossi, and I had a guy named Mahir Gonzai, and they both kind of took me under their wings and taught me business, right? And taught me how to run a company and how to do it the right way. Me thinking it was going to be the most difficult thing and most challenging thing I've ever done in my life, it really wasn't.
Right.
So from there, I was doing what I was doing with them. I was like, wow, I didn't know this was, I don't want to say that easy, but that easy is probably what comes to mind.
Right.
And I said, I could do this, and I have the right background and the right people that will support me if I did something outside the box.
Right.
So I right away thought about security in the Middle East. My background in the military, I was in 5th Special Forces Group out of Fort Campbell, and we specialized in the Middle East. And I was there for 11 years with the organization, and I deployed 11 times. So I had a lot of familiarization with the Middle East and the background and what I needed to bring to the table. So I had a business partner in mind. He's out of Dubai.
Yeah, you were telling me about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So his name's Panesh, and Panesh was like, let's do this. We'll work it together. So I had this question the other day, kind of backtracking a little bit. Somebody wrote me a private message, DM me, and said, hey, you're advertising in business in Dubai. Are you actually?
Yeah.
Is your LLC actually out of Dubai?
Right.
So two front answer there. Yes, it is. I do have actually a legit business registered out of Dubai, and I also have a legit business registered out of the USA. So both ends of the spectrum. So
Right. And then you told me that, and I was immediately kind of like it caught my eye, and I was like, wait a minute, Dubai? Like actually like over there, Dubai? And you were like, yeah. And then you're like you're doing security work, and I was immediately my mind started racing, and that's when you were like showing me your cards, and I scanned it, and then I was reading everything, and I was like, holy crap. That's really cool. And so when it comes to like building up the company and stuff like that, and you started getting into it, was it the idea was mainly you, right? But you had the mentors that were helping you kind of learn the business side of it. How did that kind of mesh together to form this?
yeah, definitely. It was actually very easy. So the first thing when I was trying to create a business idea was like, what's the easiest thing that I have the capability of doing based on the background and based off the people that I
Right.
was serving with. So I was like, no brainer. Serving. I call this giving back to my military buddies that I served with.
Right.
A lot of them were operators in fifth group, and now they could work for me as a side gig to go do security in the Middle East.
Right.
So it just all made sense. They have the right background, the right training.
Yeah,
the
their
right
wheelhouse,
tools.
right?
Exactly.
Keep it in the wheelhouse.
So that's kind of how it folded into tuition and became reality. And then now we're just launching off and doing great things. And when we started, right, we were looking for what kind of foundation can I have of people that are reliable to me, right? So if you look on my website, I have a ex-sergeant major for fifth group. His name's Lee Buggs, and Lee Buggs is one of my advisors. And
Right.
super smart individual and knows operations in and out when it comes to security.
Yeah.
So he's kind of one of my advisors. Put him under my wing to kind of help me out and make me understand things that I didn't know. Right.
Well, he's a sergeant major. So,
Yeah, exactly.
the sergeant majors,
Right.
they know what they're talking about.
20 plus years of experience, mostly all soft background. So definitely a great guy to have. And then I thought about, not just doing security, but we're trying to move into training too. So my buddy John
Right.
Kitman, he does firearms training right now with some of the best in the world. He trains SWAT teams, you name it, he's doing training for. I sponsor him for his shooting. He's a competitive shooter.
Competitive shooter, nice.
So the guy's just unbelievable individual. So he wanted to be part of my team, so I brought him under my wing too. So just between them two, it was easy for me to collaborate and bring the right people to make the mission and my objective happen. It was
Right.
So
Well, it's like if you have the core unit in place, like having that team that you know that you can rely on, that alleviates a lot of the stress too, right?
Absolutely.
So, having a sergeant major and then having a guy that's like really well qualified in firearms training, that kind of just, you can disseminate and you don't have to be like so on top of it. You're able to like have people that you trust in place to help you do what you want to do.
exactly.
Which, when you were telling me that, I was like, man, this is really cool. And then I saw, a lot of the stuff where you're wanting to get up and get it set and ready to go. And this is fairly recent, like you just started this. So what's kind of like the future for the Legion Group? Where do you want it to be in like 4 or 5 years, something like that?
Very good question. So believe it or not, we're also moving into two different categories within the security industry. So one is introducing technologies into the Middle East for the for police,
okay.
fire,
Right.
EMT, whoever, all first responders, the military. So bringing some of those products from vendors in the U.S. that are trying to get their foot into the door.
Right.
We have the right connections in the Middle East, so we
Okay,
can make that
opening
introduction.
those doors, helping find avenues to get that stuff in there.
Exactly. So
Gotcha.
that's one thing. And the second is we're also moving security into hotels. And right now, the Wayne Hotel, MGM are all moving into Dubai to create their own hotel casinos inside there.
Right, okay.
So we want to be their lead security
Oh, yeah.
enforcer. So we're hoping that's the future 5 years from now. So that's where we envision ourselves.
That's awesome, man, and that's super cool. I know whenever I was in the military too, I nowhere near as much as what you did. But whenever I came out, that was kind of my same thing. Trying to find something that was in my wheelhouse, and it was kind of hard. I did some private security, did some armed security stuff here, but it was just local. And whenever I got out of that, it was like I was kind of lost in the sauce a little bit. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was highly motivated and I was wanting to dig into something and do something that I really wanted, but this was more my wheelhouse, and that's whenever I came in here and I talked to Nate and he told me his vision for his idea. I was like, this can be where I can really go hard and go into it. So like whenever you wanted to start this up, it was all about the background, right? Having the background, knowing what you wanted to do, having the conviction and the willpower to do it, because not everybody has that.
Right.
So I think it's really cool, when you're building something, like we were trying to build something here, it's really cool when you get to share that experience and you really have people that are behind you. So I think it's really cool with what you're doing. And I love that you're in the security space because I know your demeanor. I know you don't come across, especially when you came in the other day when we're talking on the phone. Like there's again some of those different security companies where they might get kind of a negative connotation behind them because a lot of these other security companies are not the same as yours. You're wanting to have like an upper echelon premier security service, right?
Absolutely.
That's exactly what you want. And you portray that, the way you talk, the way you carry yourself. And I feel like a lot of people, when they hear security company, they're like, oh, Paul Blart, mall cop security. And so, and that's what we're trying to do here. Everything that we do is a premier service. What you're trying to offer, premier service, like really take a step above.
Absolutely.
So I think it's really cool with your ideas that you have planned and where you're wanting to go and everything. And I think it's so cool that I got to meet you and you came in and dropped off the guns, man. Is there anything else as far as like the Legion group or who you're wanting to bring in or anything cool that you have coming up in the future that you wanted to maybe shout out to our guys over here on the channel? Maybe they can watch and see.
Yeah, definitely. So I think, going back to some of the comments you made, I always tell people that, when you're getting out of the military, that transition for a lot of people getting out of the military, they're very, you're scared. You don't know what's next and what you're expecting. It might not happen, right?
Right.
But I always tell people the best people are not the smartest people, right? People always think you got to be the smartest person in the world to start a business. You got to be the smartest person to do this. It's not very true. The truth is you got to be the most driven, though, right? You got to be the last person out the door, the person that's willing to go above and beyond.
That drive, right?
That drive. Mm-hmm. That drive is what drives you to things like this and owning your own business and achieving things that you never thought were achievable, right?
Right.
And I think that's the number one factor for people to understand, like, don't underestimate yourself. If you have that drive and you have that thought process that you're willing to go above and beyond anything and beat your peers, that's the thought process you need to go with, right?
Right.
And if you don't, you're never going to achieve what you really want. So it goes back to you don't have to be the smartest person. You got to be the Harvard grad, the West Point grad, the MIT grad.
Yeah, that has the piece of paper, and
you don't need that.
You don't.
I don't have any of that, and remarkably, I'm obviously in a blessed position in my life that I never had, and I grew up with nothing in life. What I mean by that, it was literally my brother and I sat in a living room and we had milk crates. I remember my freshman year in high school, we had milk crates, and we were selling milk crates on the top of them. And we had a black and white dial TV.
Oh my gosh!
And we put aluminum foil on the antenna makeshift just to get 3 channels. And there were 3 black and white channels, and one had like old Western movies, and the other 2 had World War II and World War I movies. And we loved the World War II and World War I movies. But I mean, coming from that background, understanding like, hey, I never want to go back to that was my drive moving forward, and what made me kind of push myself to do everything I'm doing right now. So that's probably my huge take out of this is like, the drive is what leads you to make dreams happen, and make possibilities happen that you never had before. And then going back to your question about what's the future like for us and what we have upcoming. So multiple things we have upcoming right now in Dubai. We have an event planned for next month. It's more organizational based off another company we started called Expats Arabia. And it's basically a connection based, meeting people and meeting people in the right businesses. And
like a good networking event.
Exactly. Right. It's a high-end network event. People looking for jobs, people looking real estate agents, whatever they're looking for in Dubai, we're going to have. But at the same time, we're going to be talking about our security network and things that we're trying to bring to the country of UAE. Even though we overexpand more than UAE, that's going to be our second headquarters out of Ford, out of not just Georgia, but UAE and Dubai.
Right.
But that's something that we have coming up, and I'll definitely post that on our website. And if you want to know more about us, please check us out. It's LegionGroupLLC.com, and you get to see a lot of things about us. We're on Facebook and Instagram also. Please shoot me DMs and questions if you have any. I would love to answer your questions. We're also looking for people that have the background that we're looking for, SIL background, SF background, any of those backgrounds, please hit me up. We're looking for people, and that's just something that I'm looking for right now. So
that's really cool, man, dude. it was so awesome when you came in, because I knew that you had a really cool story and you had really cool guns, and now hearing more about it, what you're doing, I'm super excited to see what you're going to be doing. And it's really cool because we're going to be able to do more of your guns and do more projects in the future, so
Absolutely.
I'm excited for that. But I love how you ended that, because that is true. There's a lot of guys that they may be really smart and they have really good ideas, and they have the capability to do something, but they just lack that drive. So if you do have an idea and you're wanting it to succeed, you've got to be able to like force yourself, give that inner motivation to have that drive to get it done, because then you could do whatever you want to do. And I think Nick is a prime example, and the story is awesome. Nick, thank you so much, brother.
Thanks so much, brother.
It's